All right, so here we are again in the bus. It's pretty much cleaned out. I'm gonna rip up this vinyl, but before we go any further on cleaning this out, I'm gonna make sure I can get it running. So let me talk to you about what exactly I've done so far. So I actually really like this scan tool, this ThinkScan. I think it's in the link, there's a link for it in the description, but they didn't sponsor a video. They sent me one of those for free to include it in a video, and I've been really liking it. I thought when I was using it the other day I couldn't look up some data, but apparently there's a different section under like diagnosing that I can pull up a lot of data points. So I could pull up data points for that IPC, whatever that stands for, injection pressure switch, and some other things. The FCIM, and the voltage on the FCIM was good, and it had really low oil pressure, so it's supposed to have like 500 psi. It was commanding like 1600, but it was giving like 12 psi of oil pressure, high pressure oil pressure. And that's what, let me just go ahead and say thank you so much to everybody who sent me an email and left a comment down below trying to help me figure out how to get this thing running. I'm very grateful that everybody was willing to help, and so many people have sent me awesome emails steering me in the right direction. And so a lot of people also suggested I talk to Watch Wes work, so he's going to be in this video a little bit. He helped me do some diagnosing. So I was actually talking to Wes, and so we went ahead and unplugged that sensor, and I do not know if you can see that, but it is buried down there. And here's the thing, again, I've said this before, I don't know how people with big arms work on vehicles sometimes, because my arms are real skinny, and I was just barely able to reach my hand all the way down there and unplug that and plug it back in. So I unplugged it, and it didn't start. So yeah, we'll see what exactly happens here. I just got done talking to Wes, so I'm gonna include that clip right here, and we'll talk about kind of what needs to be done next. So yeah, here we were, and you were explaining. So I sent you some data from my computer because I found out it could actually read some data points that I thought it couldn't, and it wasn't getting enough oil pressure, right? It was getting like 12 psi, and it needs like 500 to run those injectors, right?
Yes.
So I unplugged that IPC valve, and it still didn't run. And you were also talking about the IPF valve. Is that what that was?
So there's multiple components in the high pressure oil system.
Okay.
But basically, if you think about it, the computer controls the IPR valve, so it sends a signal to the IPR valve, and depending on how open or closed that is, that regulates the pressure of the oil, and then it monitors that by looking at the ICP sensor, the injection condition pressure sensor. So they basically work together.
Okay.
So if let's see how it works. If the ICP sensor is bad, it will tell the computer that it's getting, more pressure or less pressure than what it's supposed to be.
Right.
And it basically turns off the IPR valve, so it stops trying to build pressure. But I don't think your ICP sensor is bad, because we could see it moving a little bit in the data. It just isn't building the pressure that it should be building. Okay.
So then it's most likely it's going to be probably a leak in the high pressure oil system. Is that what you think?
Yeah, so being in an 05, it's unlikely that it has a bad high pressure pump. That was a problem on the 03s and 04s, but the one you have is pretty reliable.
Okay.
So it's either a leak, somewhere in that high pressure oil rail, or it's a bad IPR valve, and the IPR valve is not allowing it to build the pressure that it needs to build.
And so I'm going to pull that IPR valve and look at the screen. Is that the only really reliable test I can do to it, or should I look at something else on that as well?
No, it's really tough to diagnose IPR valve issues. International sells a service tool. All it is a dummy plug that you put in there, and it basically blocks off the IPR.
Okay.
And it forces it to full pressure. I don't have that service tool, so the way I always check them is just by using a known good IPR valve.
Okay.
Which sucks. I mean, it's kind of like a part scanning approach, but there's really not any better way to test it.
Okay.
And if the IPR valve's not the problem, then you just have to keep going down the line. So what I do in order to test them is I actually take the ICP sensor out, because the ICP sensor goes right into the manifold that carries the high pressure oil.
Okay.
So I just take the sensor out, and I have an adapter that I can hook shop air up to it, and then you can just hear if there's a leak.
Okay.
Sometimes you got valve covers off, which, being a van chassis, that's not a fun job. So
yeah, it's pretty tight.
It's very tight.
Yeah. Okay, well.
Yeah, that's kind of where you have to go.
Okay, so hopefully it's not a leak. Hopefully it's that IPR valve. And
well, depends on how you want to look at it. Yeah.
Okay.
So I don't know if you have access to, you know, like a junkyard, maybe you could get an IPR valve off of another engine.
Yeah.
Is that I have one here, I can send it to you.
Okay, is that a common part? I could probably just find one at AutoZone or something, an IPR valve, just replace it, or?
I don't know. I'm not that familiar with the aftermarket IPR valves.
Okay.
I probably want to be honest about it.
Yeah.
But if you just want to use it for testing, I mean, that seems reasonable to me.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Okay.
I think you can take them apart and clean them. It's been a while since I worked on a 6-liter. Most of them around here are in the crusher.
Yeah, probably for a good reason.
If I remember right, they're serviceable. I know for sure you can buy the screen separately.
Okay.
So,
well, I'll dig into it and see what I can figure out. Thanks for the help, Wes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good luck, man.
Yeah, you too. We'll see ya.
Take care.
Yeah, bye. Okay, so there you have it. Wes steered me in the right direction. I'm going to pull this sensor and replace it with another sensor. I'm going to go with the AutoZone part, even though, you know, he's not too sure about that, for 2 reasons. Because they warranty their parts. A lot of people are like, why do I always use AutoZone stuff? They have a really good warranty. So if it ever fails in the future, then they pay me, you know, to fix it. They pay me labor, and they replace the part as well. So I have no issues using their parts, and they can also get it today. So I'll have that part in my hands here this afternoon, and I'll replace it. And I'm pointing the camera right here, but you probably can't see it. It's right there. So we'll be replacing that. I'm going to pull it out and check the screen, make sure it's, you know, not clogged. And hopefully, fingers crossed, hopefully that does it. If it doesn't, then I'm going to look for that adapter that Wes mentioned and to see if I can hear where that leak's coming from. And I mean, I already have my mind made up. I'll take a day and I'll disassemble, not the engine, I'll disassemble everything around the engine. So I may get all the way down to taking the turbo off. The turbo may stay, but a lot of pipes are going to come off. There's not too much rust. It's low miles, so you know, getting the pipes and stuff off the turbo shouldn't be too hard. Exhaust pipes, and I'm gonna, you know, if I have to, pull that radiator, pull all the accessories off. It's got 2 alternators to charge up probably these ACs. Probably demand a lot of energy. And yeah, just disassemble everything if I have to get down inside the valve covers or whatever it may be. And I've also ordered a fuel filter cap. There's 2 fuel filters. And if you can see from the puddle underneath the bus here, it has been leaking when I charge up prime the fuel system. And you can see the filter there. The filter housing's nice and clean. There's a pinhole, and fuel keeps squirting out of that pinhole. So we think that probably has a cracked cap, since I already replaced the O-ring on that, and it's still doing it. If you know about that, then let me know, you know, what exactly that might be all about. If that's normal and it's like relieving pressure, I doubt it, because there's so much coming out. It's probably a cracked cap. Hopefully it's not that housing. Maybe replaceable, but if I have to start tearing into stuff, all this stuff looks like it's going to come out. And again, I'm fine with doing that if I need to, so I may be able to take the bumper off. I just put this cover on this morning, and the plastic on this bumper down here. That's it. That's the update for right now. I'm going to pull that sensor, and I'll let you see what it looks like if it's clogged up. And again, thanks to Wes. Shout out to Wes. Check out his channel, Watch Wes Work, for helping me in the right direction. And again, to everybody who left me a email and comments down below in the last video, super helpful. Sorry if I couldn't respond to everybody, but I definitely read as much as I could and tried to absorb all that information. So thanks again. And we'll pull that sensor now. I guess it's a regulator. All right, you can see here I've kind of got everything out of the way as much as needed. I think this is called a V-band, but first time I've ever really taken one off, because my UPS truck doesn't have a turbo. I think this is the first vehicle I've had with a turbo. And when I say I think, I mean this is the first vehicle I've had with a turbo, and that's quite the turbo there. That's a big boy. So here's this that we're gonna get to, and then we'll put this back on and see if it runs, because I'm not gonna blow this hot exhaust everywhere. Clean this up a little bit with some gentle, maybe brass wire brush, and yeah, I'm gonna have to replace that fuel filter cap up front. I just replaced the fuel filter, but I got it a little dirty when I touched it, and that stressed me out. So I'm gonna replace that fuel filter again. I'm gonna get a new fuel filter and do it with clean gloves this time, because I did it the other day when I was out in the field trying to get this started. All right, so I just got this broken free. That's what it looks like. The thing was on there pretty tight. I ended up getting a crescent wrench on there and pushing it as hard as I could with my foot, and finally popped it loose. Again, hopefully this is the issue. Well, you know. Well, yeah, I'm not gonna say, you know, it's okay. Hopefully this is it. I'm really hoping this is it. It's a lot of work probably if it's something else, but I don't know. I don't know what else everything is going on down here. I barely know how to diagnose gasoline engines. Then we get into diesels. I don't even know if this is a glow plug or an injector there. I only see those. So maybe the injectors are inside the valve cover. I've seen that once on a diesel engine. And if so, what is that? Maybe just the connector for the injectors? Ooh. Yeah, well, I mean, it is what it is. It's not going to magically change and be this if it's not this, but hopefully it's this. Okay, so here's what we've got. This right here, I'm going to hold on to it. And, but we've got a new one coming in today. It doesn't look clogged. I don't really know what I'm looking for either. So yeah, we'll do this. I'm gonna take some stuff off up front in order to open up the space to change that fuel filter again. So I've got to take like a charge pipe off and a few other things. So we will do that up front, and we'll get all those at the same time this afternoon. Replace those, and that'll do it for today. Hopefully we get it running tonight if it's this. If not, then I'll take it back apart probably tonight. Well, oh, look at this. I don't know if that's supposed to be loose, but it is. Maybe that's broken because it's loose. Not sure. I don't know, because I think it was reading something, just not enough. Anyways, yeah, if it's this, we'll probably have it running tonight. If not, then I'll take this back apart right here so that I can get an adapter for right here to blow air in there and here if it's leaking somewhere else. If I had that adapter, I'd just do that now. And like Wes said, he has one that's known good sensor, so I don't have one of those, but that one coming in today should be good, and I'll be able to take the reading off of it at least and see if it corresponds with this one or not. Okay, we'll move up front and get that stuff going out. Alright, so I've got the stuff out of the way here to replace that fuel filter cap, O-ring, and fuel filter. That's the secondary. There's a primary on the fuel pump down below, but I'm probably not going to worry about that one today, although I do have a new cap and pump for that, and I mean filter. We'll see. Yeah, I've got just the intake pipe out of here, one of these air intakes. That's the one going to the intake manifold, just so I can reach my arm through here and get over to the fuel filter right there. Yeah, so I was worried about, like, well, maybe we don't have enough fuel pressure. I can check the fuel pressure, I think, with something. There's like a fuel pressure monitor. Oh, never mind. But yeah, I was worried about the fuel pressure, but I know it's not going to run on the oil pressure it has right now, so that's the main issue. So once we can build the oil pressure, then it's not working, then I'll worry about fuel delivery, but it's obviously not firing those injectors primarily because of the oil pressure. So We'll check back in here in a bit when I get those. I'm gonna clean up some parts. Obviously, just these diesels get pretty greasy, so I've got a tub of towels thing I'm gonna use and just kind of clean stuff up, kind of clean dirt and junk up here. It's a little dirty, as well as the dash and steering wheel and everything in there is dusty, so I'm gonna just clean for a little bit. All right, here's our air filter. So we're gonna get a new air filter for it. Should help this. I mean, obviously it's not set because it hasn't been running in a couple of years, but I'm assuming that was pretty congested there. So yeah, we'll get a new filter. I'm gonna clean this box out as well. I actually don't have any more tub of towels, so I'm gonna go pick up a box. When I get the other parts, I'll just clean them this afternoon. And that should do it for this. And we'll check back when we get all that stuff and start going back together. But that fuel filter cap's probably the main cause of that fuel leaking there. And it's just every time I prime that pump, dripping down, running off the back of that engine there. Not like too concerned. I'm gonna just get all this slag off of here. Then I'll paint it all with some rust inhibitor and redo these steps. This is really the only bad area, so yeah. Yeah. So here's what it looks like so far. I doubt that anything up here is super rusty. So I think I'll probably build supports out of metal bar and then use wood for these steps, and then just water seal them, you know, waterproof, paint the wood on the underside. Should be just fine. All the flooring of the bus itself is actual wood, and same deal, it's just been waterproofed on the bottom, so I'll probably just follow that pattern. All right, so I've gone ahead and just cut out the worst part of it, and I'm gonna probably weld a couple of bars underneath and use some carriage bolts to bolt them up into the side of the, you know, where there's structural integrity here. Probably 2 carriage bolts, square bar, you know, one on the front, one on the back like this, and then put plywood down for the step. Maybe do the same thing for the backing, and then maybe this next step up here. Probably won't do anything for the backing here, just get it nice and clean with the wire brush on a drill and get all this painted. Everything I'm gonna leave, wire brush everything, and then what isn't just complete rust paint over with some rust paint, and then run probably 2 bars under that other step as well, just to give it strength, and a piece of wood. So three slats of wood probably for the backing there, and then bottom there. The sides look fine. It's a little concerning probably under here, so I'll look at that and see what I do. All right, so I've just removed the bottom step completely. It was just so rusty that I didn't want to fight with it. This one I think is salvageable. It's just I'm gonna clean up that corner. So I'm gonna go get my wire brush now. These things are super hard to take off. These little rubber runners right here, and we're not gonna have enough people going constantly in and out to justify these. So I'm just gonna get a strip of vinyl that lays down and runs down the steps. So I'm gonna get rid of these runners, and but they're a pain to get out. And this will probably about do it for today. Once I get this runner off, I'll probably remove this section of vinyl and start cleaning this up with a brush. Then my part's gonna be in for that. So we'll start hooking stuff back up and see if this gets running. 50-50, it's either that or a leak somewhere, so hopefully it's that. And yeah, we'll clean this up. Okay, not sure if that looks any different to you. And I don't remember the last place I checked in on. And we're gonna get that wire brush now, clean this up, and then we'll be running to AutoZone to get our part. Really hoping it's that sensor, because I got this new one. Remember earlier how I was looking at that sensor? This one is tight, no movement in there, and that other one has some movement. So hopefully this is it. Hopefully I don't get my hopes up saying hopefully so many times, because if that's not it, I'm obviously gonna have to start doing some tearing apart and serious diagnosing, but hopefully that's it. Fuel filter cap, since that cap's probably cracked. New pair of gloves. Every now and then I pick up a new pair of gloves. These ones were on good sale. They were like $11 off or something. So got 2 new pairs. I got the last 2 that were my size. And we'll start putting everything back together. They didn't have an air filter. That's what I get for not calling ahead and double checking. There's a big old spider in that. Is that alive? No, that's not a spider, is it? It's a weird leaf thing. Since I didn't call ahead, there was one like in the store that's like 10 miles away. I didn't want to go up there, so I'm just going to get it tomorrow. This filter will work. If I can get it running tonight, it's fine, whatever. But I'm going to get that new filter in there when I can, which will be tomorrow. So we're going to do that fuel cap and that sensor back there, and hopefully, again, man, that would be awesome if that's it. I'm optimistic, but again, I don't want to get my hopes up. And I'm not going to time lapse this. You're not going to be able to see anything for the tight space. You can see how tight that is there, and I'm going to just go ahead and plug this GoPro into charge. And I'll check back with you when I get that together and we get started in here. All right, hopefully you can see a little bit what's going on there. If it turns out, I'll do a time lapse. I've got this new, whatever this thing was called, IPR. Injector pressure something. I don't remember. I've got it though. It's got an O-ring on there and an O-ring on there. Make sure both O-rings came out with this old one. Yep, both O-rings came out. And again, this one's tight. And hopefully this is it. I'll be very, very grateful and excited if it is. All right, 20 minutes later, everything's back together, and I'm a little nervous to see if this will turn on. So I'm going to prime it 3 times once I open that fuel system and see if something happens. I'll check for smoke in the exhaust, see if there's a little bit more than earlier. There was just a little bit coming out. And then I'll hook the scanner up if I need to and see what kind of details we're getting. There's that fire keeping me warm when I go over there. Yeah, see if we're getting any sort of difference on there if it doesn't start. So fingers crossed that it does start right now though. Okay, here we go. What's going on here? Not enough power. Is there some sort of safety? Or I can't start this. I don't know. Maybe we're dead. I'll go get a jump box and see. Maybe this light killed it or something. It's been charging all day, but I'm not sure why that doesn't want to. Maybe it's not all the way in park. Let's try that. All right, so I'm not quite sure what happened last night. I couldn't get it to turn over, so I'm thinking maybe the batteries were dead. Maybe I left a light on all day or something when I was working on it, which is a little weird because I had the battery charger plugged in. I've got the block heater on this morning. It's not absolutely freezing, but it's cold. And I'm gonna give this a go and see if I can get it to start. So hopefully it starts, at least turns over. And if so, then I can put my computer in and see if it's getting more oil pressure than it was yesterday. So that's the goal, hopefully. Yeah, same thing. I don't know what happened, man. That's frustrating. Yesterday I had my wife put it in neutral while I was underneath there connecting the drive shaft, and it's turned over on accident. She tried to start it rather than just put it in the on position. So I'm gonna do some digging around now. That's frustrating as to why that's not kicking over. I'm gonna test up here. There's like some relays and solenoids. That's the ignition solenoid there. So yeah, I'm not sure. I did a new window here since I'm redoing these steps. So there's a little bit of light under here, but I'm going to take these batteries into AutoZone and just throw them on their rapid charger. So they should be done in like an hour fully charged, and then we'll know whether or not these batteries are the issue. Because I've had this charger plugged in. It's a trickle charger for a couple of days. This will charge both the batteries in my truck in a couple of days, but it's still on just that, 25% there. So I don't know if it's a problem with like a bad connection here. These aren't lead terminals. They're a bit harder. I think they're brass, so they're harder to clean and not getting such a good connection on the charger itself. Again, I'm just going to go ahead and pop these batteries out, and we'll take them in and make sure that this isn't the issue and clean everything up again just in case. All right, so we just got these back from AutoZone. They were on the rapid charger for about half an hour. I'm going to put these under there, and hopefully, fingers crossed, hopefully this does it. All right, we got these batteries back in. Got these terminals cleaned up again just in case, and hopefully, fingers crossed, now's the moment. Hopefully it starts. The block warmer's been in there all morning on the engine, and these are charged. That solenoid's replaced, so hopefully that's it. If not, then I'll pull up the data and see what kind of oil pressure we have on that injector rail. All right, got the starter out here. Tested. Bad. All right, we've got a new starter that I just got a picture of the screen there. I tested that other one because same thing. I didn't actually show you the video when I hopped up in the truck finally, and the batteries are charged. I was going to start it. Same thing. I put the key in the on position. I could hear the solenoid overhead for all the accessories clicking, because it'll divert all the power to the startup. So it was clicking, but it wasn't cranking anymore. So I got out, took it in to get tested. Halfway through the test, it did kick out. But it still failed the test. So yeah, at least that's good to know and easy to pinpoint. So we'll put this new starter in, and hopefully now is the real deal. Hopefully now it starts. All right, here we go. A little more suspense. I forgot that I got to plug those batteries back in. 5 more minutes. Okay, well, I got it to crank now. Here we go. Okay, so they're not starting still, so it may be a leak in that high pressure oil system for those injectors. So we'll pull out our scan tool again and read, we were getting 12 PSI on that fuel system. So hopefully we're getting more, and we just have to do something else besides tear apart that high pressure oil system. But my scan tool will tell us here in a moment. All right, well, that did not build enough pressure. I think we got up to like 60 PSI after some pretty intense cranking on that starter, which I'm not going to repeat. So I don't know if I got that on video or not, but yeah, 60 PSI was the max we got there. So yeah, I'm talking to Wes right now from Watch Wes Work. Shout out to Wes for his great help on this project, as well as everybody else. And assuming there's a leak in the high pressure oil system, which is what it looks like it probably is as far as I'm aware of, I'm talking to him on whether or not it's a viable option to rebuild that high pressure oil system, just to redo all the seals on it. And it's in this van chassis, so it's going to be a bit of work. But again, as I mentioned before, it's something that I'm willing to do, to take the time to take a day and a half and completely dismantle the outside of this engine here, all the way down in the valve covers, whatever needs to be done. to get down to that. So probably that's what it's going to take, and it should be running after that. Should be a day, and if they make a kit for that, then that's probably what I'll end up doing. But if otherwise, I'll update you. If not, that'll be the end of the video. Thanks for watching. I'm Ernest. Consider subscribing, and we'll see you on the next episode. Hopefully have it running after the next episode, which will just be overhauling that, if that's the plan.